सोचना या पढ़ना एक बड़ी अच्छी बात है। मैं रोज टहलने जाता हूँ, कभी साइकिल से जाता हूँ, कभी पैदल जाता हूँ। तो कल मैं सुबह सुबह टहल रहा था। अचानक मैंने देखा एक आदमी था, लेबर क्लास था, मजदूर रहा होगा। उसके पास छोटा सा फोन था जो आजकल दिखाई नहीं पड़ता। बहुत गांव वाँव में कहीं कहीं मिल जाता है, वरना आजकल सबके पास स्मार्टफोन है। वो फोन कान में लगा के बात कर रहा था और बहुत जोर जोर से पत्ते की तरह हिल रहा था, गुस्से के मारे कि he was so angry and he was shouting and he was saying that how dare your brother speak about my chacha, my uncle. You know who my chacha is? And he was shouting and screaming and upset, and I kept on listening to him. I stood there at a distance watching him. Then I thought it's a good example to bring it to you today morning. He was angry because somebody spoke about his uncle. Perfectly all right. He has all rights to be disturbed. The issue is that he is disturbed because somebody said something about his uncle. Let's not go into depth of what somebody said to his uncle. The issue is not about what is said. Issue is about how he responded. The world is not going to change. World is going to be as it is. दुनिया नहीं बदलेगी, कुछ नहीं बदलेगा. Everything in the world and their reactions are fixed. They don't change. What changes is our reaction towards the world. How do we change our reaction toward the world makes us what we are. I'm sure you all have met a lot of people in your life. You all are grown up boys and girls. You find somebody very irritating, somebody very loving, some scenario very beautiful, some places very depressing. Are those people bad, or our reactions are deciding them good, bad, or beautiful? The world does not change, world does not move. It's we, our reaction to the world, which decides how the world is. Very small story. There was a room full of mirrors, and one dog entered into the room. And the moment he entered, he saw so many dogs there. He got very angry. He growled. All the dogs growled back at him. He started snarling. All dogs snarled at him. He started barking. All dogs started barking at him. He started barking loudly. All of them started barking loudly. He jumped at them. They all jumped at him. And he got hurt, came out bleeding from all over his body. And the story. And the dog entered into the room full of mirrors. Saw all the dogs, he wagged his tail. All the dogs wagged their tail. He started playing with them. They all started playing with him. He was very happy. All of them were very happy. He came out as a happy person. The world is nothing but a room full of mirror. It only reflects what we are. Now, since now we know that my reaction is what my world is all about. So it is very important to know who we are. Where have we come from? Where are we going? Who are my relatives? What is in it in the world for me? What am I? The moment I know who am I, where I have come from, and where I'm going, and what the relevance of this body which I have, then I can control my response to the world. And depending on my response, world will be gentle or harsh to me. So with this, let's start the first slide. I'm extremely grateful to Swami Parthasarathy, my guru, who is an author of this book, Fall of the Human Intellect. He's a 97-year-old, still alive, still guides us regularly. And this book is written by him. So my pranam to him. And with this, we start the fall of the human intellect. Next slide, Satyen.
Yes.
See, the world is driven by cause and effect. Whatever we do, there's a cause to it, and every effect has a cause to it. Every cause will lead to an effect. The life is all about cause and effect. If you study, you will pass an exam. If you exercise, you will build good muscles. If you sleep on time, you will wake up fresh. If you sleep late, you will not wake up fresh. And this realization that the world is nothing but cause and effect will make you know that what is happening today, wherever you are. Suppose you are an officer, because you have worked very hard in life in the past to reach here. If you had not studied, you wouldn't have passed. So whatever is happening to you today, as of now, is what you have done in past in your life. Now, we discussed, I'm just recapitulating. Reality pervades every facet of the world. The truth, as I said last time when we were talking about, that we are a spirit and matter. A spirit pervades every facet of the world. Let's park it in our thoughts somewhere. We'll address it a little more in detail later on. This makes the world graceful, glorious, and all its objects and beings are orchestrated in a well-ordained manner. See, the world, the winter comes on time, summer comes on time, rains come on time. You sow a seed, it becomes a plant. You reap rich harvest. Everything happens on time. The sun rises on time. The moon rises on time. It never happened that today moon decided not to rise on time. Or the sun said, I'll sleep a little extra. Only human beings do that. The entire world moves on its own in perfect synchronized manner. There's no imperfection in the world. Whatever imperfection we observe is our inability to understand the world. World is in perfect order, is very glorious, very graceful. But we still find world a difficult place to live in. It is not because of the world, it's because of us. Let's understand us more. And this makes it beautiful and call it melody of life. This world is nothing but a good melody of life. Next slide. Now, this melody of life, what has made it difficult? What makes the world disliked by us? It's our own desire and attachment, our lust and greed. It has devastated our human race. Now, why it has devastated the human race? We will come to know when we are through with this chapter, but for time being, it's our mind which plagues havoc with us. Our mind which makes us go here and there. All those thoughts which are in our mind makes us do things. And it is uncontrolled. The root cause of this devastation or suffering is we do not have control over our own mind. And what is that control? That control is human intellect. We live by herd instinct. We all follow the same. And as a result, because of ourselves, we struggle, we go through sorrow and misery. Next slide. Since we are repeating, I'm going a little faster. So we talked about who are we? And we realized that we are human being. We have a body, mind, and intellect, which we can decide body as a physical, mind and intellect, which is a subtle part of our body, which is not visible, but very much operative. Now, body has two organs of perceptions and organs of actions. Organs of perceptions, our nose, mouth, taste, ear, eyes, and skin. We perceive the world through these organs of perception and through our sense objects, which the body feels it, and through body, our self feels it. The reality in us becomes a feeler through this organ of perception. The organ of actions are our speech, our hands, our legs, our genitals, and our excretory organs. These are the organs of actions, and that makes us actor. So body acts as a perceiver, body acts as an actor. But whatever we are doing in the body as a perceiver or actor, there's a mind behind it, which feels the emotion. It's a seat of emotions. All the love, hatred, likes, dislikes, they are all driven by the mind. And next is intellect. These are the three parts of the body. Intellect, which controls the mind. Intellect is of two types. Gross intellect, which is a thinker of the world, what is happening in the world. But intellect also has a small portion known as subtle intellect. Subtle intellect is contemplator. It's a transcendental. It goes beyond logic. So we'll come to all the details. Once you know, no point going to Mandukya Upanishad if you do not know about the intellect. If you do not know about the contemplation, if you do not know the transcendental. What is transcendental? Transcendental is beyond logic. The logic works to a point. Beyond that, logic doesn't work. It's illogical. If I ask you, why do you love your mother so much? Isn't any logic in it? Or why your mother loves you so much? It's illogical. It's a transcendental. You can say, oh, she has given me birth. A lot of mothers have given birth. Do they love their children as much? Or whatever your attachment is to an item in life, it could be illogically true. So the subtle intellect goes beyond that, beyond logic, and to grasp the reality beyond logic is subtle intellect. It's a transcendental. Next slide. Now let's come back to the mind. The mind, feeling emotions, likes and dislikes, joy, sorrow, love, hatred, passion, affection, anger, jealousy. Feeler is so if you live by the mind, you have emotional personality. Every time when somebody gives you a flower, you start crying. When somebody says harsh words, you get very angry. Because you are driven by the mind. You can only think in terms of emotions. Nothing wrong in it. To be emotional is not wrong, but how much to be emotional is what is required to be known and to be exercised. We'll come to that. Next slide. Intellect. Now, intellect is the one which thinks, comprehends, reasons, judges, decides for you, guide and direct the mind and emotions, direct the body's perception and actions. And it is in two parts, gross and subtle. See, intellect is different from intelligence. Intelligence is a knowledge which you gather by reading or learning or by seeing, and you store it in your mind and bring it out whenever it is required. Like if you have learned about the missile or about how to make a table or how to drive a car or read a good book on psychology, that's intelligence. So whenever you're required to show how to make a table, you draw from that experience which you have learned and you draw a table. So it is a intelligence, it's a knowledge, it's a memory. It's not intellect. Intellect is ability to control, to think, to comprehend, to reason. How should I behave in a particular place? What I should do right things. It is like an adult in you. Your mind is like a child in you. Child wants to have everything. Adult tells you, no, you can't eat this, you just had dinner. Or he wants a toy, mind wants a toy, child wants a toy. Mother will say, no, you can't have toy. You have too many toys. Same toy you have at home, one toy. You don't want to have second toy now. You go home and you can play the same toy at home. So that's where intellect comes in. It guides and directs the both mind and emotions and body, its perceptions and actions. It is of two types, gross and subtle. Next. The gross intellect operates within terrestrial world. It operates within the realm of our world, science and technology. Self expresses through as a thinker. Here, the creation of discovering the laws, discovering the how to sharpen a pencil or what item should be used in doing anything, comes under gross intellect. Whereas the self, the reality in you, expresses through the body as a thinker. Next slide. Next is subtle intellect. Subtle intellect is the one which beyond terrestrial world. It sometimes defines the logic. It differentiates from permanent and impermanent. Subtle intellect is like, I'm sure you all know the pole vaulting, where somebody takes a pole, comes running, and then fixes the pole and lifts himself with the help of pole and crosses the bar. Now, you need a pole. You need a pole for going up. But if you want to cross the bar, you have to leave the pole behind. If you carry the pole or hold on to the pole, how do you cross the bar? You can't cross the bar. You will fall on this side only. Subtle intellect is that intellect which is used to reach to transcendental height, and then you drop it. And then you cross over to the illogical world or transcendental world. That is subtle intellect. That which makes you think, that where all logics don't fall into a pattern. It tells you what is permanent, what is impermanent. It differentiates from spirit, from the matter. And here, self, reality in you, expresses as the contemplator. Next slide. So, the human being on the extreme right expresses itself as a physical personality, as an emotional personality, as an intellectual personality, as a spiritual personality. And it happens through various components. We have the body, which is a physical perceiver, actor, the mind as a feeler, emotional personality, and intellect as a thinker and contemplator. Please see at the extreme left side, you have a self. What is that self? That self is real you. That self which makes body, mind, intellect come alive. Without self, the body, mind, and intellect are jad, are insentient, are not alive. When the self falls away from us, when uh, the magnet falls away from the wood, wood becomes dead. So when the self, which is true subject in us, which makes body, mind, intellect comes alive, self drives us, and that self in you is true you, is in reality the truth, the soul, the God, the Brahman, the Atman. There are various names, you can call it by any names. Knowledge, infinite, any name you give it to, bliss, consciousness, whatever you may call it, that is self. So the human beings exhibit themselves as a physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, because they have a body, mind, and intellect. But all that is driven by self. I'm just leaving you here. The entire journey of your life will be in discovering the self. Body, mind, intellect come and go. You are born with a body, you will die, and again you are born. But the self continues. Self is perpetual. Self is infinite. So we'll come to that eventually. Next slide. Now, let's, in the process of understanding who we are, let's understand what is the history of human development, how the humans have developed. Humans have passed through various stages in their development, and they can be roughly defined into age of perception, age of observation, age of scientific inquiry, and age of contemplation. These are the four broadly defined. There's no cutoff that age of perception ended on so and so date, age of observation started on so and so date, nothing like that. It is just a rough description of how human development has taken place. Next slide. So let's look at the age of perception. Age of perception was where we just perceived the world. We perceived the sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. There was no reaction to the world. There's no reaction within ourselves. We were just happily watching everything without reacting to anything in the world. That age must have lasted for a long time, because that age was the quiet age where you don't really react. You just gaze at the outer world. The organ of perceptions registered the sense objects. They all felt, but there's no action. There's no reaction within and there's no action. We were just busy looking at the world outside. Next slide. Age of observation. We were not content with mere gazing. We were not, we started putting two and two together. Why this is happening, why that is happening, start asking questions. And sometime, because intellect was not developed, the mind correlated happenings without any intellect discrimination. So the case in point that we saw, one day I was going to the office and the black cat crossed my path. And I went to the office and my boss shouted at me. So I immediately put two and two together. I said, he must have shouted because of a black cat which crossed my path. I'm sure a lot of your friends wear a particular shirt whenever they have exam. Before they start their car and take it forward, they take it backward. A lot of such superstitions exist where the intellect is not being used. Somebody told me, I had a guest a few days back at home. So she had food and I gave her a curd in the end. And after eating curd, I gave her a glass of water. She said, no, my nani told me कि दही खाने के बाद पानी नहीं पीना चाहिए. तो मैंने सारी जिंदगी, she is now around 60. For 60 years, she has taken curd and not water after that. So the mind correlated a lot of happenings without any logic, without anything, and felt it is true. They lived a life of an ignorant person. They lacked reason or judgment. And they could never establish the cause and effect relationship. If the boss has screamed at you in the office, not because black cat crossed your path, you must have not done some work in the office. You're not blaming it. The boy is wearing the same shirt in every exam because he thinks because of shirt he passes. No, he passes exam because you've studied hard or not studied hard. That's why he's failing. It's got nothing to do with the. But we live through so many superstitions all our life without using intellect, and we suffer in the process. I know people who, because the black cat crossed their path, they stopped the car and one car came from behind and hit them. I know people who, in spite of wearing the same shirt, they failed an exam. I know people who have believed in so many superstitions and lived a miserable life, difficult life. The life is nothing but cause and effect. As you sow, so you reap. Every effect has a cause, and every cause, whatever you do, you will have an effect. Sooner or later, it will not go away. Even if you have done something in dark and without anybody's knowledge, effect will come. Just a matter of time. So life is nothing but cause and effect. Next slide. Then came the age of scientific inquiry, which is the modern world, where people started linking up logic. They moved from superstition to the age of scientific inquiry. This is where the beginning of the intellect. They inquired into phenomenon, cause and effect. They wanted to know what really happened, where it happened, why it happened. There must be a cause to it. Newton discovered the laws of gravity, that why the fruits fall down, not go up. All those laws were already existing. No laws were ever not existing. They were discovered because human intellect came into play. They start looking at why it is happening. Inquired phenomenon, cause and effects. Every cause has an effect and every effect has a cause. That was the emergence of science, discovery of laws governing the world. But it was confined to the world. So all scientific inquiry, whatever has been done very smartly. Some of these people are very, very intelligent people. But that does not mean that they have a high intellect. But whatever intellect they deployed gave us so much of happiness. Because all those laws were discovered, we have so many things, gadgets in our life, which we are using it to our comfort. So it has made the age of scientific inquiry has made our life more comfortable, more relaxed. Today you can fly from point A to point B. You can take a train, you can go by car, you can do so many things which makes you more efficient and happy and effective in the world. So the scientific inquiry is what the modern world is all about. Next slide. Then we move to the scientific inquiry But gross intellect cannot go beyond world. Human needs his subtle intellect to probe into anything beyond the world, beyond body, mind, and intellect. So the scientific inquiry is good for the world, but it's not completes our work. We have one more phase of the subtle intellect. Next slide. Age of contemplation. Conceives and contemplate on supreme, all-pervading reality. As I was telling you, that it is important to, I give example of pole vault. It is important to think of the transcendental reality. The diagram, if you remember, the self, the reality in you, which drives you, how do you reach there? They say that if that is the subject in you on the extreme left, everything is in front of it, nothing is behind it. You can see the body because self is behind it. You can feel your physical personality because body is behind it. You can feel your emotion because mind is behind it. But how do you feel yourself? Self is like a camera. Camera can take any picture. But can you go behind? The camera can take its own picture. It can't. So the self in you is subject in you. I know it is a very difficult topic, what I'm introducing here. Just listen. We have three ways of learning. If you really want to learn anything, there are three ways of learning. First is Shravana. You hear, you learn. Second is Manana. You contemplate, you keep on thinking about it. And third is meditation. When you focus on it more deeply. Shravana, Manana, and meditation. We call it Nididhyasana. I don't want to do that word here. Just meditation. So Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Today, probably when I'm talking about self, it is Shravana. Just hear it out. Sometime you'll start thinking about it. And then when you meditate on it, you will know yourself. Let's say some time away from now. As of now, let's understand that my body, my mind, my intellect, all these three needs a leavening factor, enlivening factor. Last time I was telling you about that every bulb, every torch, every heater, every refrigerator needs a enlivening factor. And there's a one common enlivening factor is electricity. Similarly, we in us, the enlivening factor is self, the subject in us, which makes us come alive. That is called God, that's called Atman, Brahman, any name you give it to. The names may vary, but the self remains same. So the age of contemplation, where you conceive and contemplate on that self, all pervading reality, which is beyond mind, beyond intellect, beyond body, beyond body's perception and action, beyond mind's impulses and emotions, beyond intellect and its thoughts lie reality. Human alone, only the human beings are endowed with subtle intellect. Only human beings. No animal has. They have very rudimentary intellect. The dog has a very rudimentary intellect that he can recognize between the master who feeds him, the other person who is not a master. Very few. But every animal is born with a mind. Huh? Only the human beings have got intellect and subtle intellect. Reaching the transcendental state makes the highest point in human existence. To be able to go back to yourself. Today, if I ask you who you are, you will say, I am Satyajit. But Satyajit is name of the body. Satyajit, when he sleeps for 8 hours, what happens to Satyajit? He is dead to the world. Nobody knows him. He himself doesn't know him. He may be dreaming that he's a bird flying, or he's a tiger roaming in the, or he's a Salman Khan. He could be anybody. When you are awake, your name becomes active because that name is given to your body. But that body is driven by a enlivening factor. That self, that God in you, can only be conceived by the subtle intellect which you have. You are the only one, you are the only animal, if I may say, who has that intellect, subtle intellect, and who can think of it and perceive it. Nobody else can. Can I have the next slide? So in present era, all four ages coexist. Surprising? That people are living in the observation era also. They are still living in that era. People are still living in a perception era. People are still living in a era of superstition. I'm sure you will agree with me that a lot of people are very superstitious. They still live in that era of perception and observation. They still believe black cat crossed the road. You know, every day I meet people who talk about Vastu. There may be some truth to it, but they change entire thing in their life. If the door is not on the south and north, it defies the logic. It just simply defies the logic. We live in the world of scientific inquiry. We are discovering new things, new laws. And of course, very, very few people follow the contemplation where they think of reality, where they think of reality as it exists in us, which runs us, which enlivens us. There are very few, but there are people. So as of now, we live in the world which lives in all four eras in different segment of people. We need to have more effort to grow the subtle intellect, and that's why we are here. That's why I'm so thankful to Mr. Satyendra, Dr. Satyendra, to arrange this lecture, so where we can talk about, even if one of you can start thinking manana about his self, it's a great achievement. Let's move on. Next slide, please. So we move on with the more clarity of understanding. Who are we? Just in our attempt to understand us. If you don't understand yourself, how will you deal with the world? World is beautiful. World is glorious. World has a melody of life. It runs at its own pace. Nothing changes the world. Your reaction decides your world for you. How are you with the world is decided by you, not by outside. Outside people are same. They'll never change. So what are the different kind of animals or items we have in this world? Now, there are three very prominent which have a consciousness or semi-consciousness or look more or less can be differentiated with us are plant, animal, and humans. Plants have only body. They have no mind, no emotion, no intellect. Animals have body and mind, no intellect. Plants are only gazing, they are gazing at the world. Animals react to the world, but they don't have a logic built into them. And humans has both mind, body, and both cross and subtle intellect. These are the three prominent features of this world and their differentiating features. Next slide, please. The plant varies from grass to the banyan tree to the creeper, any plant. They just exist. They don't react to the world. They just exist. Every plant has a distinct character. They grow on their own, they die, they exchange with the world, but they don't react to the world. They take water, they take carbon dioxide, give you oxygen. They give you fruits. They come from the same Mother Earth. They use the air, water, earth, fire, and space to grow, like us. Why we brought these three kingdoms, plant, animal, humans? We all three depend on these five gross elements of nature. What are those gross elements of nature? Space, air, fire, water, and earth. These are the five gross elements of the earth, which all these take, whether it's a plant, animal, or humans. We are product of these five elements. Again, I've introduced a new topic. Just understand it. We'll talk about it subsequently when the right time comes. Plants also take space, they take water, and they give you fruits, they give you shade, but they don't react to the world. And they have no eyes to gaze at the environment around. They just exist. Simply existence. Next slide, please. Animal. All animals are built in program to live their lives. If you see thousands of zebra, they all same. There's no fat zebra, there's no thin zebra, there's no tiny zebra, there's no tall zebra. All giraffes are same, all lions are same, all deers are same. Have you seen one deer very fat who gets to eat a lot of grass and others are not fat or thin? No, they're all same. They're built in, there's a built-in program. They are born, they become fertile, they produce, they take care of their children, and they die. They cannot change their character, cannot change their natural constitution. Their vasanas are fixed, their characters are fixed. No cow can say that I have eaten enough grass. From tomorrow, I'll start eating rabbit. There are a lot of rabbits around. Let me get some non-veg, which is good for my health. No. She will only eat grass. The lion will only eat animals. No lion says that, oh, I have eaten enough, I have become an old man. Now let me eat grass. Let me think of God. He can't. He has no subtle intellect. Can't change their natural constitution. They have everything fixed in their life. They have fixed character, they have fixed vasanas. What is vasanas? Vasanas we talked about is the something in you which you have collected over generations and lives and afterlives, which makes your character exhibit, which makes your character visible to the world. What vasanas you have will appear as a character to the world. The tiger has a vasana to eat animal, and he kills animal. The visible thing is kills animal. Cow has a vasana to eat grass, which eat grass, and bird sees it eating grass. So vasanas are your tendencies in you, which you have collected over years. Your temperament, disposition, character, mode of living, all are fixed in animal. They have a collective nature. Animals live same nature. Every zebra lives in the same manner. Every cow lives in the same manner. Every lion lives in the same manner. Every giraffe lives in the same manner. Every dog lives in the same manner. They don't change. They have a collective nature. Their nature doesn't change. Whereas humans vary. Let's go to the next slide. The humans have a very, very individualistic, singular nature as per their vasanas. Every human is different. Every human born. Remember, plant, animal, and humans come from same stock: space, air, fire, water, and earth. Nothing has changed in them. We all three groups come from the same material: space, air, fire, water, and earth. How do we know that we are come from the same five gross elements? When we die, the heat goes off first from us. We become cold. And then we lose water. And then we lose, the fire goes, the first air goes, then the fire goes, then the water goes, and then the earth goes, and then finally we surrender the space and we disappear. Same thing happens to every item we mentioned so far in the plant, animal, and human kingdom. Whereas humans, unlike others, has a very, very individualistic, similar nature, depending on their character, vasanas. Their stored tendencies. Each one expresses own behavioral pattern. This will give you some insight into humans. You sometimes wonder why he behaves, or why she behaves like that. Because she has different inherent tendencies. That's why she behaves in a particular manner, or he behaves in a particular manner. It's not that he's helplessly expresses his vasanas. Human beings helplessly express their tendencies. It's not that they really won't do that, but they are so well inherent in them that they express it. But at the same time, humans are the one, unlike animals, who can change it if they work on it. So you have a behavior pattern, which is a pattern, but you have a habit. But if you want, you can change it. Some amount of freedom to change your behavior does exist in human beings, which is not there with animal or plants. They are free to choose course of their life, and then they can make choices. So these are the very fundamental differences in plant, animal, and humans. Humans have a choice, and their choice depends on their mind and intellect. Mind and intellect is their choice-making seat in their body. Based on that, they express their choices. I think we will take questions here, and I'll take dilemma of choice because of paucity of time next time. I'll just uh, take the question answer if that is okay with you, Satyan. And dilemma of choice, we'll take it next time, next class.
So anybody can shoot their questions. I know last time I said you have to put it in the chat, but not needed. So Deepika or Satyajit or Anurag, anybody who has got a question. Satyajit had asked about auto actions, and Alok had explained that this is what happens when you've got a vasana, when you're born with a disposition. So Satyajit, you want to follow up that question? Or anybody?
So till the questions come,
Yes.
the choice, yeah, go ahead.
So, sir, so I just wanted to ask that how do we ident- ident- identify our asanas. How do we uh, ident- identify our uh, vasanas?
Yes,
Yes.
good question. I think you will have to watch your pattern. You have to watch your likes and dislikes. You have to analyze yourself. If you are passing by a sweet shop and you want to go and eat the sweet, you have a vasana for sweet things. If you have so it is the tendencies which are embedded in you. They are very deep tendencies, very deep thoughts. They are you have a huge subconscious below your mind that has all these things stored. They come out from time to time and they make you, force you to make a choice. So if you start analyzing all your actions, you will notice that you are doing things repetitive again and again and again. That will guide you to your vasanas. Some people have a vasana for food. Some people have a vasana for some particular actions or sports. Those are your tendencies in life. See, we all think that my thoughts are all mine. No thoughts are original. They are nothing but floating around in the universe. They enter into your mind one by one. And they enter into your mind because of the vasanas you have, because of inherent tendencies to attract them. You are like an antenna which picks up only those thoughts which are kind of in sync with you. You don't pick up thoughts which are not in sync with you. So that's why you live a very, very kind of repetitive life. You notice people make the same mistakes again and again and again. Then they wonder, I don't know why the world treats me so badly. Every time I do this happens to me. Because you are the creator of your life. You build yourself, you mar yourself. So your vasanas, you have to analyze it yourself. What am I doing repeatedly? And if it is not good for you, start working against it. Start avoid. That's where intellect comes in. Okay? Have I explained to you? Thank you.
Good. Thank you so much, Deepika, for asking such an intelligent question. Any more questions? Otherwise, we can wind up. And of course, you are welcome to send your questions as email to me and or even as a audio note in Telegram group, and I'll pass them on to Dr. Alok. So I think it is like 7. It's almost 7 a.m.
Can I say
So
something? Can I say
yeah, go
something?
on. Yeah. Yes.
In the beginning of philosophy, a lot of words get introduced. Don't get kind of discouraged by those words. Just listen to it. And at one point in time, they all will fall in place in your mind. It's like when you are making a picture. Pictures looks very ugly and very confusing. But finally, when the picture is ready, it looks a beautiful presentation. So in your mind, all these concepts, self, subtle intellect, contemplator, thinker, all these are just listen. And at some point in time, they'll fall in place in your mind very, very well, very clearly. I'm very confident of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saab. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Good.
Thank you,
Sir,
Deepika, Satyajit,
I,
Anurag.
I,
Yeah.
I have a question, sir.
Go on.
I just have thought this that I need to ask this. That sir, as Sir has mentioned, that we are in this present era, the 4 stages of human, this is in coexistence. So the 4 stages. So what according to him means, should our state means in which stage should we actually live, in the scientific inquiry, or in the as of contemplation, both?
So,
Which
Can you
state
understand
should
my
we
question,
live?
sir?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's clear. So, Satyajit, na?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So, Satyajit, if you analyze your life, you will realize that you are living in all 4 era yourself.
Yes, sir.
Somewhere in some time you get up in the morning and you just watch children playing from your house balcony. Children are playing football. You just watch them. You do nothing. Someone falls, somebody gets up. You watch that happening in front of your eyes. So you're living, at that point in time, you are in an age of observation, age of perception. Then you are also sometimes superstitious. You live in some superstition, you may be, or ritualism, you may be following or maybe suffering. That if the black cat crosses the road, you will not go out of the house. So that superstition you are living. And then you're also living in a scientific, you are reading all the books and you are following the laws and you know that how to drive a car and all that. So you're living in a scientific inquiry. You question why this LED is better than the normal bulb. That's scientific inquiry. And you go to the temple also and stand and pray to God. So you yourself are living in all 4 eras in one day. So our life is mixture of all. Now, we need to slowly work on ourselves using our intellect and moving toward the contemplation or moving toward the finding out the reality, what the reality is, what self is all about. That will give you the maximum peace. Because when you are in the age of perception, you're not peaceful. You're just watching it. You're not content. You're just watching it. Superstition makes you a lot of sorrow and difficulty. Scientific inquiry gives you some happiness, but it's not permanent. The only bliss which will come when you come to age of contemplation, then you are a permanent bliss. It's a very difficult topic to talk about. You will come to know, we'll talk about it repeatedly. But as of now, the age of contemplation is probably the most blissful state. You have to move from perception to observation to scientific inquiry to the contemplation.